This is O.G. Akins. I am here with Lawrence Fauntleroy, uh, Nyla Akins, and Naima. We are presenting Youth Voice Collective today. This is the first Saturday, and we are rolling out. I have a special guest, like I said, Lawrence Fauntleroy, and he has worked with youth in the past for the last 2 years. I mean, last 10, 15 years, and it's okay. So everybody, I just want everybody to introduce their own self, and I'm just gonna go around the room, starting with Lawrence Fauntleroy.
Hey, I'm Lawrence Fauntleroy. I am starting an initiative called Team New York. This is our launch for 2017, but like OG said, I've been involved in youth basketball specifically for at least the last 15 to 20 years. So we'll start talking about that once we get started.
Okay.
I'm Nyla Akins, and I'm going to be the host of this show with my co-host, and I'm very excited to get started.
Hi, I'm Naima, and I'm the co-host, and at school, I do student council and things, and yeah, I'm really excited to get started too.
Okay, so we're going to start off this show basically by presenting some of the great things that some of the youth are doing in our community, in our state, in our country, and around the world. There are a lot of great young people out here that are making great movements in the world that need to be recognized and highlighted. We often talk about how many kids are not doing anything out there, have no, a lot of kids have no examples to follow behind or to raise themselves out of certain situations or find a way for their future. So this show will be dedicated to highlighting all of these young people around the world, and especially in our community here in East Stroudsburg, to see a lot of the great things from some of the youth going into college, high school, junior high, and their voices and what they're going to bring to the table and what are their concerns and where do they think they're going. So the two hosts here, we have one more host who's not present who will be in the next coming show. His name is Israel, and he will be joining the team. So there'll be three hosts of the show, and soon we'll be introducing him in the next show, which is going to be next Saturday or the following Saturday. So I want to start off and let Lawrence Fauntleroy present your presentation.
Sure. So what we're doing for 2017 is we have, again, like I said, this is the Team New York initiative. So we cover 5 points, and those 5 points we use what's called a carrot and carrot as opposed to a carrot and stick approach. So our carrot and carrot approach is that there is no penalty for making sure you're doing the right thing. So we have a 5-point system, which is athletics, academics, leadership, community service, and social entrepreneurship. So we use basketball specifically to make sure that we engage youth and making sure those other 4 components are covered. But we do that in a way where we want to get our kids on autopilot as early as possible. So as I'll talk more in detail as the show goes on, but that's typically our 5-point approach in our Team New York initiative.
Now, how this 5-point approach, how was this put together, and how long have you been doing this 5-point approach?
Well, it's been put together, it's matured over time. I mean, this is an incentive that I thought about for the last 15 years in coaching basketball at a very high youth level. And what I've noticed is that some kids kind of fall out of the ecosystem in a sense that if they're not good enough, they don't get to play on a very high level. So what I realized, I think really early, was that there was no place for those kids whose skill level began to drop. And so, but they were incredibly instrumental in just the chemistry of the team and what they were doing. So we wanted to create some kind of a new ecosystem that would say no kid would be left behind, in a sense that if they could bring other skills to the table, it would help and benefit everybody. So we started looking at what kind of skill set could we enhance, and we started looking at academics, was incredibly important, obviously. And then we started talking about leadership. and then obviously community service. And you can't really get a kid involved in community service later in life. We thought that if we get kids involved in community service as early as the second and third grade, I can give examples of how you can do that. Then we can also encourage social entrepreneurship, which was really kids being socially responsible for their community, and at the same time teaching them how to make money doing that. So it's been something that I've been thinking about, and got a team together, and then it's just actually started to mature in the last year or so. So it's something I've been thinking about for the last 15 years, but it's starting to mature in the last year or so.
Oh, okay. How do you feel about that, Nyla? How do you feel about what kids can do? What programs are available, or things that you know of that are similar to the 5-point program?
Well, I feel that not enough is provided for kids these days for anything that they want to do, maybe community service, anything, because of people think that just youth is, I don't know, they undermine it somehow. So when kids are looking for maybe something to do or something that can provide for their community, for their town or anything, they can't really find something that so much seems as to help anyone. So.
Right. What about you, Naima? What do you feel about, what are the steps that can be taken, and things that you see that can be done, or things that you don't see that you're concerned about in the community?
Well, I think parents should probably get their child to do stuff, and even if the kid wants to do something, they should probably, get their parents to help them make that step to, if they want to do community service, like Nyla said, or if they want to do anything for that matter, they, just try to get it out there.
Okay, and what are some of the ways they get it out there?
I don't know, probably reach out to somebody who can reach out to somebody who can make it possible for them to do stuff like this.
Help them.
Yeah, who can help them, and do stuff like that, because you can't do something without help from somebody.
Right. I understand.
It's an interesting point. That's an interesting point. And I think we need to get, and to your point, our parents need to be actually very aware that kids do want to get involved in community service. And the way you do that, and one of the ways that we're doing, is that we're reaching out to these nonprofits that serve the community, and we're asking, how can you take your platform, and how can I transition that into the youth? How can I say, okay, if you want to change the community, I'm going to make an example. If you want to change the resources in the community, plastic, make sure bottles and everything are out of the community. How can I take that and say, I have a bunch of young kids that want to do that, right? So we went, actually, I'm going to use a real life example. So we went to one of the communities that are really big on recycling. And what we did was we put a script together for a third grader that could go into a community with a script, knock on the door and say, hey, for $2, we'd like to collect your bottles, take them responsibly to recycling for $2, and we'll provide you with a plastic recycling bag. And that way, and we broke down what that $2 would mean. The $2 would pay for the recycling bag, 50 cents would go into a kind of a bank, and another 50 cents would be that would belong to that child, so he wouldn't have to ask his parent for any money. He would build his own little economy. And we got a really good response, and for a couple of reasons, right? Because a third grader is knocking on your door, you want to support that. Second one, because a third grader is being fiscally responsible and helping out his community. And some of the effects that we started seeing was that when this kid was out with his peers and he saw a plastic bottle on the floor, he would actually pick it up and say, "This is money," and he wouldn't feel under peer pressure that, oh, you're picking up bottles on the street. He was doing something socially responsible. So that was kind of like a test. We wanted to see if that could really work. And so far we got really good results from that, where kids could knock on the door, sell their socially responsible mission of their initiative, and be involved in the community really, really early. And what we started doing was sitting these kids down and saying, okay, what else can you do? And we got some really good ideas. And I think what's happening is that we weren't bridging the gap. There was no, the people that were really doing really good community service, I think they were waiting for young kids to get kind of older, right? They were waiting for those kids to go to high school, and we were saying, no, we didn't want to do that. We wanted to kind of speed that process up a little, get a second and third grader involved in something that's community, that they can be responsible with their community. And I think once you do that, that begins to say, that what that does is that says, okay, we're ready to have these kids involved really early. We're ready to have these kids get involved early and make a difference. So I agree. I think if you guys are inclined to do things, your parents should listen, right? And you should, but maybe we're the vehicle, and not only us, but other mentoring, because we do something different, but we're not in competition. And I think that's part of what I try to tell my team, is that we're not in competition. There's too many kids out here for us to be in competition. You should come to this program. If one program does something really good, then you should be involved in that program. We actually think there's just so many kids out here that want to do the right thing, that there needs to be a lot of programs. So we're not in competition. So I think that's a great point. And hopefully our platform could be some place where you could come to and say, okay, I want to do something really great for my community, and we could pick up the slack a little bit if parents are busy and don't have that time to get you guys involved.
Yeah, go ahead, what were you saying?
No, I just said
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's another reason why I think this program is so important, because we're going to be providing a lot of resources. We're going to be providing a lot of connections. So one of our first guests that will be on this show, from what I hear between Naeem and Nyla, is a young man who's an MMA fighter, and he's also an actor. So he's going to bring a lot of things to the table to show young people that, anything is possible. You don't have to be one or the other. Explore your resources and explore the things around you. You can be multi-talented. These things can happen. You could be an MMA fighter and also be on commercials and talk shows. And, these are things that are available to you. You don't have to be one-dimensional. We live in a multi-dimensional world, and we have to, start preparing these kids and the young people for the multi-dimensional roles they'll be playing in this world. And I just think by exposure, providing a variety of resources and capabilities for them, will start to change. We'll start to see a lot of changes in young people, especially young people who don't have, maybe parents that are, maybe a lot of parents are working or don't have the resources available to them to even help their own kids or their own young people. So we'll provide that. We'll actually have some answers here for them. And hopefully, we could reach out to a broader audience of investors and people who know that we need these resources, and they need to be investing in the same way we invest into the same way we invest into Wall Street and the stock market. Our youth are the biggest investments on the planet, because they will be inheriting everything we do, and they have to be prepared for it, for the challenges ahead. What do you think about that, Nyla?
Well, I do think that you're right when you say that our youth does need to be prepared for the challenges, because considering that we are the future, we do need to be prepared for what is going to happen, what we need to be ready for, so that we know that we're not left behind not knowing what to do, because at a young age, we've had guidance to guide us through what we needed to know, what we've needed to do. And then all in all, that gives us the more strength, more power to know that maybe I can achieve something that I really know that maybe not only adults can do, but a child like me, or a youth, what's the word I'm looking for? A youth kid like me.
Ask Naima, maybe she can help you answer that question.
Okay, so what I think about this is like, if you want to do something and like you don't, and your parents aren't there to help you do it, then I think if there are enough resources in order for you to do it, then you should actually try to go out there and like, when you say you need to be prepared for stuff for the real world, sometimes school doesn't offer that choice to, like, they teach you the basic things. Like, we were talking earlier, and Mr. OG said, like, just to get you by, and, like, you really want to be prepared for stuff that might actually happen in the real world. And I think that, like, maybe if we have resources in order for you to do stuff like that, then maybe we'll be able to, maybe we'll be ready for the real world.
Okay, yeah, and
Right. Yeah, and I agree, and I think part of it, it's not an issue. I think what we need to recognize is that leadership is a hard thing for the youth. The word leadership itself. So what we try to do is we have this thing first before leadership is leadership behavior, right? So teach kids what the behavior of a leader is, right? And then let them model that, and then let them find their way, let them find their niche in leadership. So, and we've asked young people on our basketball teams about what leadership is, and is that a lot of responsibility? And most of them say, by definition, it does feel like a lot of responsibility. So what we try to do is say, okay, let's just model leadership behavior, right? And that is being responsible, that's being accountable. Let's take those components out of leadership and make sure that you have those components first before before we burden you with the whole word. And I think that that's really important, right? So as young African American females, right? If somebody says, "Nyla, you're a leader," or "You're a leader," right? That word is big. But if we take that word and we tear it apart and say, "Nyla, first it's about accountability, right? Be accountable first, and then be responsible second, and then do this third," and then you put that together, then you start to feel like a leader, right? And so our thing first is, let's have leadership behavior. Let's show what the behavior of leadership is, and then as you model that behavior, then you start waking up and feeling like a leader. So I agree that's really important that we understand that leadership is a big word for young people, and the burdening with that big word is probably easier to break down the components of leadership and then show a young person how to master those components, and then obviously you're on your way to become a leader. So it's an important
Yeah.
place.
And like you were saying with future, when we say leadership, in the future we do need leadership because we need to be responsible, we need to be accountable. As looking into the future, these are the things that we do need. So when we say leadership, the things that we tear down in leadership is the things that we are going to need later in life. Now, not only later in life, but now, the things that we need to be accountable for, responsible for, the things that we need to look out for are the things that are going to help us in the future, now, in the present, the future.
Right.
These are the things that can help us.
right. Go ahead, Naima, because I know you're on a student council, and that's a very important leadership role in school because you kind of craft policies and do fundraising, and it's almost like a politician.
Yeah. When I think about leadership, I think it's guiding somebody in the right way. You can't be a leader and lead somebody in the wrong way. And being a student council kind of shows you that. It shows you how to be a leader. And if you want to do something for the school, you have to be a leader and try to enforce that rule. Or if you want to say you want to dance at school, you have to be a leader and you have to tell somebody we want to make a dance, so how about we do it? And then so responsibility comes with making something, and all the steps to follow leadership also comes with that one thing to make it a whole. And I think that's what's really important when you try to make something out of nothing.
Right. And it's interesting that you said that. So and you sit on the student council, right? So as a student council member, right, do you feel oftentimes that you represent your students? Do you guys understand how important that is that you represent your students?
Yeah, we do. And we do things for other schools. For this one school, we planned this food drive. So it was Thanksgiving. Some people don't have food, and we need to be the leaders. We need to tell everybody hey, bring in a can, bring in boxed food or something, so you can feed somebody else's family. And in order for you to bring something in, you need to be responsible enough to remember to bring something in. And so by student council bringing that word out, we're trying to be leaders, and we're showing leadership and trying to do something for somebody else.
Right, and that's excellent, and that's what we mean. That's a start, right? Because you're representing somebody else. So in politics, right, it's what's called a principal agent. So you're a principal agent for your students, right? So in politics, what we do, or what politicians do, is they're supposed to represent their constituents, right? You're actually doing that. So if you ever wanted to move into that realm, you already had experience at doing that. So being on a student council, you represent your students. In politics, it's called a principal agent, where you're the principal
and your politician is the agent. So you're actually already doing it, and that's what we mean about getting kids really involved in leadership so that they become on autopilot. So when you go to school, right, and if you decide to take political science as one of your majors, you will understand the concept of that. You will not be in a classroom thinking about, I really don't understand what they mean by this. You will have already become a principal agent because you represent your students in your school. You represent their best interests. And that's what we mean about getting kids more involved in academics and making academics something that you really like, not making it a carrot and stick kind of concept where if you want to do go outside and play with your friends all the time, you have to do this. We want it to be where this is something that you want to do. That athletics and academics and all stuff is what you want to do. So I think that's really important. In your own quiet time, sit back and think about how responsible you really are and how important that you really are, because you represent people in your school. And then you can take that concept as you get older and start representing more people in your community. And that's what we mean about getting kids on autopilot, is that this becomes incredibly easy to you, and it's not something that is a burden to you. It's like, this is what I do. I've been doing this since the 8th grade, representing people, and I think that's important, and that's part of what our initiative is about.
Yeah, and especially with Naima on student council, you want to be able to bring culture also. You want to lead culture to our schools, because most of the schools that we see, sadly, when we go into them, not a lot of diversity and culture are hitting the schools. So we want to kind of be the leaders to bring all that culture, all the diversity that we need. We want to be the ones to be able to bring it into there.
I don't know. You're right. You're absolutely right. I admire that, because that's, having culture allows you to connect with who you are. It connects to your customs, your traditions, and it gives you a sense of a very big sense of ownership of your path in life, your journey. So, not being connected to culture inhibits you from understanding how hard it was for the people who brought you to this point. Even if it was 100 or 50 years ago, these people went through so much just to have you even sitting at this table and being able to voice your opinion and make some changes in the world. It wasn't even, people weren't even dreaming of this 60 years ago. They were just trying to get by and survive. So you have a great opportunity. Our young people have great resources at their hands. Social media is the most powerful tool on earth. It is more powerful than anything ever created, because you could reach 1 million people in 1 second. Just as we will on Genesis Radio. We reach millions of people, and we'll be reaching millions more in the next coming months. There are great things available to us, and we're going to start, just like Lawrence Fauntleroy was saying. By the way, Lawrence Fauntleroy is my cousin. He's one of the greatest men I've ever known in my life. Great inspiration to me. From the diapers to now, this man has led the way and has always been a leader in his community. Has always been either way. And so I'm grateful to have him here.
I thought we was going to get through this hour without doing that, but unfortunately,
You're not going to save that.
Unfortunately, we're not. But I much appreciated, and obviously I'm flattered.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to stop you in your tracks.
well, it's not going to happen, because a lot of people in this world need to know about the programs you're doing. You have very good steps, and there are plans. And not just, we're throwing things out. We have good steps to building great leaders through your program. And even in your character, when young men and young women meet you, they know they're meeting a leader. And these are the things that we need more of in our community, because we're very visible. This is no longer a long speech type environment we live in. It's like when you show up, people are going to look at how you hold yourself, how you speak, and how you resonate. And these are the most important factors when reaching young people. You can talk to young people all day long. If you don't represent who you are and you're not real with yourself, they can detect that. And being who you are and the young people we're bringing to the table, I think we're going to have a very good impact. And I'm looking forward to people giving some feedback on what you've presented. And I want to hear a little bit more about what you have, because it's, from here on in, from the next Saturday, it's only going to be the young people. So Lawrence has helped me, open up this avenue for Nyla and Naima, and it's going to be them from here on in. So I want to hear more about you, because I know we're not going to see you next week. So let me know what else you have right now.
I think part of and I appreciate being on Nyla's first show, obviously. It's my girl. I appreciate being on her first show. I mean, basically, it goes back to what I said. I mean, part of our initiative is also looking at the numbers as well, right? So when I started thinking about this, when I was coaching and started really thinking about this, I wanted to look at the numbers because the numbers don't lie. When I started looking at, and I'm from New York, and we started looking at graduation rates, and we found in New York City alone, the graduation rate is in a cluster that's below 60% for New York. So we felt that we really had to make a difference. We also understood the power of black women. We started looking at those numbers too because we also have women's youth basketball teams too. And we actually started looking at the power of that and how big black women play a role in not only the community but in business and everything else. And we actually wanted to model the black women's success. We wanted to see where do they get it right at, you know, at the end. If you look at the numbers, black women are the most successful demographic in education, right? They have more success in education than any group, any white males, white females, than any other group. They have the most success. So we started saying, okay, well, the template is there. We see it, right? We just need to figure out how we model it. So that was part of the driving force behind what we wanted to do, is to say, okay, that those are our people. That's who we communicate with all the time. So how are they getting it right? So that was part of our incentive as far as in looking at the numbers, seeing like where we could improve in the numbers. And so that's pretty much, OG, how we did it, and just getting involved with other groups. And that's part of my big mission, is collectively not making this what we do different from everybody else, but what we can bring to the table with everybody else. You know, I don't think it's not really we want to become a force to reckon with, but we want to become a force with everybody else. I think sometimes that force to reckon with gets misled, that we want to take over something. I think we want to be actually a part of something bigger, right? Than just, you know, we just don't want this to say. And again, let me be clear, Team New York is not an initiative specifically for a certain demographic, right? We are teaming up specifically with other organizations that are specific. So I'm also involved in an organization called Counsel Him, which is actually counsels young black males in high school. So that's how we want to network. We want to make sure that we're also offering all these services for everybody else. So if I get a young man that I see is really off the rails a little bit, we want to be able to point him in direction. So that's what Team New York is really, we want to create a network of resources for young men and women of all backgrounds. But it's important that we focus on those backgrounds that need help, right? We don't want to turn anybody away, but we want to actually focus on the youth that really need help, that need those resources. And you guys know, and I know that sometimes it just takes one teacher, takes one coach, it takes one mentor to really right your ship, right? To say, oh, okay, this is why I want to do X, Y, and Z. And we just believe, again, I'll say this again, is we just believe is the quicker you get a young person on autopilot, the quicker they can make an impact on somebody else. And that autopilot just means that they understand what their study habits are. They understand that, you got to do what you have to do first to do before you can do what you want to do. They just understand those concepts. And that's part of our mission. That's part of our mission, and connecting with other organizations that are doing the same thing.
You have any questions for Lawrence? Start asking some questions.
You pretty much said it all. But when you guys are doing this, is it kids who they're getting into trouble? Like, what about those kids?
Yeah, so like we said, what we do is, because we're teaming up with organizations that address those needs, right? We team up with organizations that address those needs. So we want to make sure we point them in the right direction. So we don't turn any kid away. What we like to do is, so if we have a kid that comes to trouble youth that comes into our program, obviously we offer these 5 points, but if we feel that they fall on the fringes of those 5 points, that it makes it hard for them to get involved or be engaged in what we're trying to do, we want to make sure that we have other organizations that support them. And like I said, I'm also involved in an organization called Counsel Him in New York City, which is specifically for that, for youth that are in trouble. And there's other things. Our former President Obama has started things like My Brother's Keeper, Mentor.org. There are all these things. And again, I want to make this clear that we're not in any competition with any other organizations trying to do the right thing. I think that's what, oftentimes in business is always, what do you do different from everybody else? But when you're trying to help people, that should not be the driving force. It should be, we're trying to help people, we're all on the same mission, right? One organization can't help every single kid. So
Right, that's
to answer your question, Nyla, is when we find somebody in trouble, or we feel somebody in trouble, we want to be the catalyst to make sure we point them in the right direction.
Okay.
I also have a question.
Sure.
So do you ask people about the kid, or do you just find somebody and like ask them, do they need help, or do the parents bring them in?
That's a good question. So what we do, and this is a great, I'm actually in talking to OG with you, it's a great platform to use as marketing, because as we speak right now, we're getting our website up and everything. So what we do in New York City, obviously basketball is a big thing, right? So kids are always looking to try out, and it's also a big thing for kids that actually want to get away from a lot of things that are going on. So what we do is we use the sport as a way to bring these kids in. And then we have experienced coaches, and we would just want to make sure if we see something, a kid in trouble, we want to make sure we guide them in the right direction. So to answer your question, it's really not an ass thing. We're using basketball as our vehicle to drag kids into our initiative.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Now, what do you do? I find it, I've been working in the communities, the same way with young people, a little more not as organized as you are, but I've worked in every community I've lived in. I've always tried to work with the young people. And one of the most problems I have is dealing with the parents. The parents are not as active and engaged as I would like them to be. And is there a way that we could get some of the adult? I know that some of them have to work and they have a lot of things on their shoulders, and they're trying to balance everything. So I just want to know, is there some way we can get more parents about how to get them activated, how the importance of investing into their young people and taking the sacrifice sometimes to be involved in, what you're doing.
Well, I think it's a challenge. It's a challenge, especially even what we're doing, because oftentimes people look at basketball as a MBA, a college thing. It's a challenge. So what we try to do is we try to break it down in components, right? We try to, when we talk to parents, when we have our parent meetings, we try to actually talk about the other 4 points that are important, right? They already have the basketball thing. They have their dreams about what the basketball is going to do for them. So we start talking about academics, and we start talking about leadership. And to be honest with you, not everybody is buying that. Some people want to come to a basketball program that just does one specific thing, and they think they handle everything else. So to answer your question, OG, it is a challenge. And again, it goes back to what I was, about leadership behavior, where you kind of break down the components of leadership. We try to break down the components of our program and show where you can prosper in one of these 5 points that we try to do. So if a parent feels like, I do want my kid involved in community service, or I do want my kid being more fiscally responsible and being a social entrepreneur, what we try to do is say, okay, well then latch onto our program for that reason alone. And because we believe that once we get you in our ecosystem, that we can keep you some way, somehow. So it is a challenge, OG. I mean, I do know that a lot of parents have a lot of things on their plate.
Right.
But we won't stop because it doesn't always work. We'll just continue to do what we're doing. And we try to get our parents involved as well. We try to get our parents. And I think oftentimes, and I've been involved in a lot of basketball programs, I think oftentimes what we don't do is we don't look at the resources that parents bring to the table. I'll give you an example. I had a team for a couple of years that was on a national level, and one of the things I think got us to that national level outside of just hard work was that just resourcing parents for their resources. So we had parents that they worked in the airline industry, they did all these different things. I think sometimes when you get in programs, you just say, okay, these kids are just going to play basketball, but you need to look at where these kids come from and actually have involving the parents into your program. So I think that's what we're trying to do. That's something that we have made a conscious effort to do, is that if a kid gets in our program, let's drag the parent in the program too. Let's not just make it a drop-off kind of thing. Let's drag the parent. Let's ask for some of their resources.
And do you ever feel like maybe that the parents are what hold back from a child doing something for
Yeah,
you?
absolutely,
point.
absolutely. I mean, and I'm a parent, right? So you have you have these fears that you feel, and sometimes we bring our fears to the table, right? We bring our fears of some of our failures to the table. And so recognizing that, we want to make sure that, and that's part of the reason why we want to bring our parents to the table, that, your kid really has this enormous potential. And I'm not talking about a basketball, but I'm talking about outside of the lines of the basketball court or any sport that they play. So, yeah, I don't think us as parents do it purposefully, but I think what happens is oftentimes we bring our fears to the table. And that's why I think just really getting involved, like what you guys do in student council, really getting involved, it just shows you, and it's really rewarding, right? So, for example, if you want to do something in another school, you guys want to get a dance, your student body is telling you, hey, we want to do this thing, right? And you guys plot it out, and you guys make it happen. Not to say you're not doing it with adults, but you make something happen, right, for your student council. That becomes rewarding, and it tells you that, yeah, I can do whatever I put my mind to. So oftentimes, yeah, we do get in the way of you guys sometimes. But hopefully we can make a conscious effort to stop that and let you guys have a little bit more freedom. But it is our fear. It is our fear, and it's not ill. It's not. We don't do it because we don't want you to succeed. I think we do it because oftentimes we fear the things that we feared when we were younger.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it is that when we have these things, and I think it's taught from several years. It's just as during like civil rights era, a parent might have told their child not to walk on the same side as the street as somebody who was white, in the fear of that they might get hurt or arrested, or say anything or look away when you talk. These are things that we taught our kids 60 years ago to save their lives because we were in fear of what might happen if they stood too tall, if they seemed too bright. If they seemed like they really had it together, was actually a threat, to some other people's existence. And now we have to reteach some of these young people how to claim their authority and claim their ownership of who you are. And like I said, being in positions of power, knowing your resources, being involved in a lot of these programs will produce these types of leaders that will continue these types of behaviors that will accelerate the growth. And you'll see a lot of success in a lot of young people because leadership, I think, is the number one quality to transform our society. And sometimes you need to put kids through various, and even people as far in not just youth, but in anybody. I think there are a series of pressures and programs that you put people through to kind of pull out that character of leadership. It's not something that's always on the surface. Sometimes you have to dig deep to pull that out. And we have a lot of leaders out here. We have a lot of geniuses. We have a lot of people who can transform this planet. And we're going to begin that here on this radio show. This is going to be very pivotal for this radio show, is to bring about some of those changes. And I'm glad Naima and Nyla are hosting this in Israel. As soon as he comes in, it'll be a great team. And from there, I just want to continue with Lawrence, some more.
Yeah, and I think, there are two things that are at our disposal at all times, right? One is experience, and I think that that's really important for young people to have as many rich experiences as you possibly can. And the other two is education. That's a power that doesn't need to be compromised, right? So once you get it, they can't take it away from you. Once you get those experiences, they can't take it away from you. And I think what's important is, despite what you hear on TV, there really are no borders. There really are no borders in life. There really isn't. And I think what we hear a lot of what's going on in politics is that there's this myth about there's borders. This is a global community. You guys are in a global community. You can reach young men and women all over the world. And I think when you understand that power, when young people understand the power that you have when you do that, that gives you a rich experience. That's something that no one can take away from you. So that's part of the things that we want to instigate. We want to instigate those rich experiences. So that's part of our initiative. That's part of our mission.
Okay. Well, I want people to know how they can reach you, how they can contact you, give your information out, because we have several listeners on, and in the coming weeks, we'll be having people calling in. But right now, I want people to know how to reach you and reach your organization.
Sure. So as we speak, like I said, I use this, I asked OG to use this platform more of a kind of reverse marketing tool. So we're currently right now getting our website done as we speak. We're getting our website done. So I'll probably be sharing a lot of information with you, OG, in the next couple of days, next week, our website, and all that information. So I'll be doing that. I'll make sure you do that. Make sure Nyla had that for her next show.
Okay, yeah, because like I said, I want to also have you on again. I have another show that I'll have on Tuesday. I'd love to have you on again because, again, these are important tools to have. If we're talking seriously about transforming and taking control of our world and our journey, we're going to have these things. We're going to have these capabilities. And since you're bringing forth and you have a complete package of capabilities, I think these are the things that we need to continue to hear, continue to connect with. And I think when people see that there are things out there like this, they're going to connect right away and try to be as supportive as they can. We have a vast network of people between New York and Pennsylvania and Jersey that would love to probably even just get a chance to have you on their show maybe, or get a little more highlight, you know. And Nyla, do you have anything to say?
No, other than thank you so much for coming onto the show and kind of giving us the platform for our first show, so that we know to maybe guide us through a lot of the things that you said are going to help us later on in the future.
Excellent.
Like we had said, so you brought a lot of leadership to the table.
Excellent. Good. And also, I just want to say, oftentimes I know you guys, you got to get out in the world and make money, but I also want you guys to know that nonprofits are a really good way to get out into the world. Volunteering is a great way to get out into the world. And what I like about nonprofits is that when you may not make a lot of money, but you have an incredible amount of people with a lot of passion, and that's really important to get in this world and be really passionate about what you want to do and how you want to do it. So I encourage you guys to look into that, to look into community service. You guys are already doing that, just being on the student council, so that stuff should come really easy to you guys. So it's anytime you want me back, just let me know, because it's important that we bridge this gap, right? That we talk about, some of the kind of struggles you have with trying to get your message across to your parents, and your parents having some struggles getting their message across to you. And so it's really good to kind of create this bridge where those messages can go back and forth positively without feeling like you have to quiet your voice for doing something. So I'm proud of you guys. I'm really proud. I'm proud to be on your first show.
What about you, Naima?
Well, I do appreciate that you're on the show, and I do think everything that you said was like really good information to what we can do in the future, and to any kids that are listening. Like, they kind of have some guidance into what they can do, and they know that you're here, and like the stuff that you do, like you can play basketball at the same time, like you're getting yourself put together and things. And like, even if you don't live in New York, and you can just listen, and they can hear what you said, what we say, and
Might encourage a lot of kids.
Yeah, and you just,
Exactly.
Good.
like you just know that somebody's here, and somebody's listening, and somebody's like talking back to you.
Right.
Somebody knows how you're feeling.
Right.
So it's good to have a hand out there, like a hand that you can hold
Excellent.
to grab onto.
Great way to think
So
about it.
yeah.
And you guys are 5 years away from making a difference, right? Your vote counts. So you guys are 5 years away from changing the landscape of America, right? And a lot of people don't understand that. I think when you talk to young people about that, about, hey, are you ready in 5 years to change America, to change, your community? Because at 18, when you can vote, you can stand up and do something. So I think that that's really important. Oftentimes, I think our community, we wait until that happens. What we want to do is prepare you for that time, when that time comes, right? And I think being a part of the student council is just an excellent way to understand that. Just a really excellent way to understand that principal agent concept. And what that means, again, is that you're the principal, right? Or your student body's the principal, and you guys are the agent. And when you understand that concept, it becomes easy to you that I represent somebody, right? And I'm doing it at this age. And so when 18 comes, you guys are on autopilot. You understand that. You understand what you're fighting for and why you're fighting for it. So I'm proud of you guys for doing that. I'm
Thank
really
you.
proud of you guys for doing that.
Okay, everybody. So we're getting to the end of the hour, and I want to give a lot of shout outs to people who are supporting, who shared this information. I want to give a shout out to my Cornelia Wright, Tony Wilder, Darren Fauntleroy, Taylor, and Laverne, And there's a lot of people who supported us along the way. So, and Odetta Russell, I'm sorry. Odetta Russell, Jerry Chisholm, Ebony Moore, Onisha Love. There's a lot of people, Manito Real Talk, Fred Beasley, Ronzino. All of these people are pivotal and have helped transform my direction and my journey. I want to, and I consistently get their support. So please continue to tune in to this youth radio station on Saturdays. It is very important that we get the word out. We need sponsors. We need people to donate. We need subscribers. We need people to engage, because remember, it's the young people who are our investment. We can sit here and talk about all the change we need. Well, we can sit here and talk about all the problems we see. We can sit here and talk about politics and world events, but we're here to provide solutions. We're here to provide a way to, instead of talking about the problem, we are presenting building blocks that will help build the structures we need to be successful and to have future generations have dignity, have a sense of hope, and self-reliance. And it's going to start here. So as many people as I can get involved, I plead with you to be involved with this radio every Saturday from 11 to 12. Please engage. And if you cannot engage, be a sponsor. I'll be sending out packages. I will need people to donate. I'll need people to subscribe. These are all the things I'm going to need from everybody. And all the people out here, we have to work as a collective, cooperative unit to help these young people get to the places they need to be. And this is a great platform for it to happen. Here on Genesis Radio, we have a platform for young people in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, to grow their voice, bring them in. I'd love to interview some other young people to come on the show, because that's basically what we'll be doing. So I'm going to turn over the mic so everybody could have their ending statements. And I'm going to turn it over to Nyla first.
I just wanted to thank everyone. Thank you so much for listening, everyone who is listening. And I want you guys to know that you should also help your community, if anything. So make sure that you do that. Volunteer, like he was saying. So everyone, just thank you so much for listening.
I just want to say I'm inspired by you guys. I really am. And I know for a fact there's a lot of youth that want to do exactly what you guys are doing. And I believe that's our responsibility, is to tap into that power. So I appreciate you having me on the radio show, OG, and hosting you guys' first show, being involved in your first show. I look forward to coming back.
Okay, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's listening again, and thank you for coming on, because you probably helped a lot of people who were listening, and to everyone who might listen to this in the future and think like, oh yeah, maybe I can start helping people and stuff like that.
Excellent.
So yeah.
And how about a shout out to your sisters, your intelligent sisters, who have also been a great inspiration to everybody as well. They may not be on camera, but you have some great people supporting you, and a great team you have too as well.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're glad to have you here. I'm glad to have Lawrence Fauntleroy here, because again, this is a person who has designed the man that I am. If anybody has known the man I've become and given me any praises for what I've become, you might want to thank Lawrence Fauntleroy, because this hammer and chiseled at me all my life, and now I have him here as a resource and tool to help other young people also be stamped out into greatness. So thank you very much, Lawrence Fauntleroy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laverne. You're here and being support for all of us, and hopefully we all have. I want to see you again. I want to see you on my show. Look out for Building Greatness on Tuesday between 6 and 7 p.m. Building Greatness. This is going to be another show that I'll be hosting, but we'll be also talking about great things and great people as well. But I think for the next Saturdays that you're going to see these young people doing their thing. They're going to have their own guest. They're going to have their own discussions, and let's just see how far it goes, where it goes. And I'm looking forward to everybody being involved. Thank you, Christian Grandiose, 570 MMA Gym, Hybrid Gym. a very big support. Some of the greatest support I've had is, hold on, we have a caller, hold on. Hello, caller, you are on Youth Voice Collective. May I help you?
Hi, yes, this is Althea. I wanted to say what a great job you guys are doing in listening to the show. I'm glad that you are being active, especially today. We need to have your voices out there more than ever, and it is so positive that you're young people creating a platform for other young voices. So I just wanted to call in and say and congratulate you on this for the premiere of your show.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks out there.
I look forward to tuning in. Lawrence, it was great to hear your input. I look forward to hearing the show every Saturday. So you guys keep up the good work. It sounds like there's a lot of great things coming up for the youth, and that's always a great thing because you guys are our future. So thank you so much for this show.
All right, thank you for calling in, and we look forward for you to call in on some other shows. Please let the word be known. Youth Voice Collective is taking over East Stroudsburg. Everybody, Lehman, South, we're all here. We're looking forward to...
Congratulating them.
Hello, this is Youth Voice Collective. May I help you?
Hi, good morning. This is Deborah. I'm calling to just congratulate our young people for being so eloquent in their dialogue this morning, and for you, OG, for bringing all of this to the forefront. This is certainly the type of programming that our young people need to have and also to be a part of. So congratulations to everybody.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, and thank you, Deborah Maud. Thank you for even bringing me on. Remember, this is because of you I'm here. Being on your show, introducing me to Genesis Radio is how we got here. So I want to thank you for being that pivotal tool to make this all happen. Thank you again.
Well, you know what? That's what it's all about, OG. That's each one teach one, each one, reach out to share. This is how we're going to get where we're trying to go, and we inevitably will be. So thank you so much. It was my pleasure, and certainly Genesis is a powerful arc for helping to transport us all to a better place.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Continue on, everybody.
Thanks. Okay. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up here. And again, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and look forward to hearing and seeing you the next Saturday, 11 to 12 p.m., Genesis Radio. Do not, if you are missing the Youth Voice Collective, then you might as well just stop breathing. Because basically, you're losing your life force, because these youth are a life force. So if you want to continue breathing and having a future and thinking forward, support this platform, support Genesis Radio, because this is where it's going to happen. This is exactly where it's going to happen. And I'll be looking forward to hearing from everybody, giving their feedback. I'll be looking for you on Facebook. I'll be looking for you on Twitter and Instagram. Please, and hopefully we'll have Lawrence Fauntleroy again, because he has a lot more information than that to share with everybody. And so anyway, so I want to wrap it up. So I want to say thank you to Nyla.
Thank you.
Naima.
Thanks.
Where are you, Naima? Holy crap. Okay. Don't worry, we got some technical difficulties here. And I want to thank again for Lawrence Fauntleroy for taking a very long trip out here. I mean, it's not easy just for this hour. He went through a lot, and I appreciate everything. And oh God, you have no idea. I'm just looking forward to you coming back. So I hope we ask you, you ask him to come back to provide us with more information. Okay?
Excellent.
All right. So sponsors, donate, subscribe, engage. GenesisRadio.com. Youth Voice Collective. Over and out. This is OG Aiken signing off. All right. Talk to you later.